I'm not saying that somebody should do that or that I want somebody to do that, but if somebody were to financially pay me and support me to to go to India with you, then it's definitely something I would consider more. But right now, I have my own things that I'm considering about trying to establish a more solid home base here in Vietnam, and kind of I need to establish my studio and my means of conveyance moving forward. So getting a motorbike and this desk. This is not a desk suitable. First, almost dropped my camera again. This is not a desk that's suitable for someone like me and the work that I do. Not that it's bad, it's usable, but there's a lot of things like that, such as getting a secondary monitor, possibly buying a new mount for my second phone. I do want to keep doing these live streams, and of course, you're not going to be available once you go to India for doing live streams. You're not going to have a stable connection to the internet. I don't know what your mental state is going to be over the next months and stuff as you kind of go out on your own. You're in India. I mean, could you talk a little bit about that for the people that are viewing me and watching me and share with them about that, of how you seem to be having issues with a rooster outside your house, but you're arguably going to be going into one of the most overstimulating places that exist in the world, in India, and how exactly you're going to be managing that and moderating your mind in that kind of situation.
That's a good question. I want to first touch upon the Kailash experience, because Kailash is an incentive by itself. If you can't perceive the spiritual benefits of going to Kailash and need someone to pay you, then you're still far away from the path. Secondly,
Elvis, I just want to stop there because, of course, I didn't say anything about that. But you're talking about a kind of materialism spirituality, which Sadhguru is like the king of that in a lot of ways. I mean, I wish that there was a. Did you purchase your clothes from Isha shops? Most of your clothes are from Isha shops, or a
not
good,
most, but
but good
some.
deal of them. Good deal of them, right? I would be very happy if there was an Isha shop here in Vietnam that I could purchase some cotton clothing from, some linen clothing from. But the reality is, I don't think so much about buying things. I'm more focused on using what I already have. I'm not trying to fall into the trap of materialism. So I'm sure that Mount Kailash is a cool place, or a decent place, a good spiritual place to go. That's fine. But ultimately, my spiritual life is practiced here and now. It's the Mount Kailash of the mind. It's the Mount Kailash of the heart.
But ultimately,
So,
yeah. Well, that is fine and good. And that's kind of like saying it doesn't matter if you're behind the dumpster of a Walmart meditating, or you're literally right next to the Buddha hearing him give a Dharma talk. It's all the same thing. It's just materialism, spirituality.
well, it's your mind, it's how you make use of it. So you can be listening to the Buddha having a Dhamma talk while you're overwhelmed with greed or anger or delusion. Or you can be at the backside of a Walmart meditating seriously, entering the dhyanas, entering the deeper meditation states,
For sure.
or listening to a Dharma talk wholeheartedly, Namaste in Norway. So I'm in a position, right, where I don't need money. I'm not in a position where I need to do this stuff to make money. Period.
That's
I'm not
good.
saying, well, I don't want you to railroad it, but maybe this is something that we can talk about, or that you can ask some questions about, because there's not a financial incentive for me to do this. it doesn't go into my mind. So like there's nothing that goes into my mind in doing this work, in doing these live streams, that goes into maybe I'll be able to make some money today. That's not a part of the equation, because I'm not saving up for some big idea I have that has a major financial need, or just a, and there's no need for a general financial support because I'm already supported. I'm already, fully supported. Even if I didn't have any money now, I would still have a community that's out there to support me.
I don't know how that's relevant to Kailash. You just went on a tangent. But materialism in terms of
I wouldn't call it a tangent. I'm talking about incentives, right? Intention. So if you have a financial incentive in doing this, if you have a financial intention in doing this, that may not allow you to do it in a unbiased way, or in a way that's not clouded with ego or with desire or with greed. So taking the money thing out of the picture is really important to me. What would this look like if there was no financial incentive? What would this look like if you couldn't have a website where you're selling things, or you couldn't make money from this?
I probably would still do this just for fun, having conversations with people, entertaining, engaging conversations. That's live. So I enjoy doing this a lot. But coming back to the spiritual side of things and materialism, you're absolutely right. You can meditate behind a dumpster and you can be totally mindless in front of the Buddha. But still, being in front of the Buddha is way more conducive, extremely more conducive than being somewhere else. And the vibrations that the Buddha would offer can permanently change your life if you make use of it. So Kailash is one of those places.
I think it also goes into the accessibility that people have. Somebody might have a good amount of money, but they have a bunch of bills. So they don't have access to not needing more money. They have a house payment, they have a big apartment payment, they have a big car payment. They have all these delusions or these ideas of grandeur of wealth. So they have to constantly strive to seek to make money. It's the same with spirituality. So somebody might have these big ideas about developing wisdom or compassion or their spiritual life. It's not accessible to go to India. It's not realistic to go to Mount Kailash. So yeah, you can get a Mount Kailash picture and put it at your house, but it might be better for you to get a picture of a Dharma teacher that you have to actually listen to and practice with and follow, and put that up as an image in your mind and in your heart. So the Mount Kailash thing, it's a mountain. There's a science, as much as there's a spiritual science here, there's a material science as well. There's bills that need to be paid, or there's an expectation for a certain amount of money, depending on what you give, depending on your time. Or there's a need for things to be clean. There's a need for things to be taken care of according to your standards. When it comes to Mount Kailash, scientifically, it's a mountain. Two plates connected. It's not even, it's kind of outside the realm of time in a certain way. It's like slow, we talk about a mountain as this collision of tectonic plates that shoot up this land, right? But how would we imagine that over time? It's not like there was a crash and this whole thing came up. It's like slower than a tree growing, mountains are made. So it's really kind of unfathomable, the making of a mountain. So the question that I have for you is that scientifically, I'm sure you understand and accept that it's just a mountain. I mean, do you really believe that Shiva made the mountain, or Shiva sat on the mountain and made it spiritually powerful or something like that? Is that what you believe?
I don't believe, no. Do I know certain things? Yeah, absolutely. that happened to the mountain. Yes. They actually don't even know how the mountain came about, because that's a normal way of mountains springing up, is Earth's plates pushing together and rising up over a long period of time. But this mountain, some people think that Shiva slowly landed an asteroid or a meteor on that place, and that's how that thing became. Because the evidence is there to show that the surrounding mountains are all charred with
So,
a very hot kind of volcanic.
so are you saying you believe that Shiva is an alien, or you believe that a meteor created that mountain and so it has spiritual power? Or that Shiva did things to the mountain that is a meteor?
I don't believe many things, but what I can tell you that's for sure is that I've been there, and that place is that is a huge source of energy. The energy there that's unlike anywhere else, and you can make use of it. And it's unique. It's not the same as any other mountain. To call it just a mountain is just a farce. It's an extraordinary place.
Well, any mountain is an extraordinary place.
Not like this.
Do you, so what's your idea? What would be your ideal for this? Let's say everybody here was out of their mind with this idea that Mount Kailash, of course, Mount Kailash is a real place that you can go to, right? You've been there. So let's say that hundreds of people here, or what have you, of course, there's not hundreds of people here that are listening in that way, but let's say that there were tons of people here and they said, Shiva is the Mount Kailash guy. We believe that Mount Kailash is a very spiritual place and we want to go there. What would your ideal situation be over the next 6 months or 8 months in relationship to Mount Kailash?
My ideal situation would be for me to go to India, be peaceful and happy there, meditate and eat fruits. And then in August time, 15, 20, some number around this number of people will sign up and join me on this trip. So this is Mount Kailash. And
so this trip would be how much money? Just conservatively, how much money would this trip be for someone to come and join?
Well, it's exactly 2,800 USD.
Okay, so $2,800. Realistically, if you're just speaking realistically, okay, to what degree do you think that it's realistic in your world with the knowledge that you have, with the experience, the knowledge that you have, right, that there would be 10 people in this community, in your, or I guess my community also, you know, we kind of have created some bridges between our communities in some way, that there would be 10 people that would spend at least minimum $3,000, right, to go and follow you for a trip to Mount Kailash in India in 2026?
Well, actually, I have a website, shivakailash.com.
Okay, I'm not asking you about that. Really, I'm trying to kind of check into your knowledge, right? To what degree do you think that it's like percentage-wise?
I'm going to ask you a question.
Okay.
So on the website, there's a place for you to reserve your spot, RSVP. And I think over 20 people have already signed up and made some kind of reservation. So the interest is there. And I think that the chances are very good that people are going to go. People that have the means, they can come with us.
Okay, so, and it doesn't include the plane ticket, right? So they have to make their own way to India, but it includes room and board.
Yes, everything is included.
Okay, food and all that's included. So you realistically think, like if you had to bet your money on stocks, if you had to take all your money and your consideration, and people are a little bit more perceptive than I think that you understand that they are, right? If you had to, as a way of you expressing your understanding and your knowledge and your discernment, what percentage would you give that there will be at least 10 people that in the month of August in 2026 are going to spend $3,000 minimum to come and go to this mountain with you in 2026? How much? What would your percentage of certainty be about that?
I would give it above 60%.
Okay, well that's a D, right? So that's not a very high, but that's what it is, right? So you're saying 60%. Okay. So my guess would be I'm 99.9% sure that there's no way in hell that it's more likely that frogs will rain from the sky at Isha Foundation upon your arrival, that 10 people out there will spend $3,000 to go and visit Mount Kailash with you. So I hope that somebody can clip that and listen to that, and we'll see. I think it's a completely ridiculous and foolhardy and frankly, not to be offensive or anything, but a completely delusional idea that where you are spiritually in your life right now and where the community around you is right now, that there would be even 5 people, let alone 10 people, that would go to spend $3,000 to go and see this mountain with you. So that's just my view. I think that's totally delusional on your side.
That's funny.
I think it's just realistic.
Absolutely, Seraph. We'll look forward to seeing you, and people have expressed interest. I don't think it's such a big deal. And I've been there. So, and lots of people go there every single year. So we're making plans for that to happen. Yes, Seraph. Something that Dr. Rob doesn't understand is how spiritual this place is.
And it will be a tour group, right? It will not be, you're not organizing this yourself, but you're working with a kind of tour guide, and you're kind of,
Yes.
okay.
So if you want to know what Kailash is, go listen to what Sadhguru has to say about Kailash. Type in Sadhguru Kailash on YouTube and do your research there. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Sarah, for your super chat.
For relieving headaches, I don't have so much experience with headaches. My vague general headache right now is related to probably like carbon monoxide poisoning from using the hookah. So maybe don't use a hookah and you won't get headache. But in terms of dealing with things like headaches, the best thing that you can do is walk with it, breathe with it, and be with it a little bit more. So just that little extra ingredient of being willing to be with the unpleasant feeling, the unpleasant energy you're going through, will help to make that unpleasant energy go away more quickly. So there's a great meditation master named Master Young Hua, and he said for hiccups, if you have the skillful meditation, then if you have hiccups and you spend like 5 minutes to meditate, then the hiccups will go away. You can stop your hiccups with meditation. And even if you can't stop the headache, you can stop your resistance to the headache, which will mean that the headache will be less suffering, less negative, less something that needs to be gotten rid of. Remember, friends, that there's not just one live stream going on here. So if you're really appreciating, and there's a few different elements on this, but if you're really appreciating what's going on here, please do know that I'm on the Monk Life Meditation channel. I'm live streaming in 4K. I'm also live streaming in vertical, and it's something that you can maybe come and see. And super chats are also possible over there.
But yeah, so it's me. Alex says, Shiva, you're too nice to your chat. Your goal is asking for yellow donations. Yellow donations.
I also want to share that for the people that are here right now, the reason that there's not a dual live stream going on my channel as well as Shiva's channel is either two reasons. So the first reason is that Shiva has so little money in his account, like literally less than $1,000 to his name, that he can't afford to buy a phone before his YouTube check comes in. So that's one option. The other option is that Shiva has the money in his account, but he's so like stingy or fearful or like self-worrying about money that he can't go and buy the phone until he gets a big extra amount in his account so that he feels completely confident about himself and buying a phone. Shiva started a GoFundMe more than a month ago now, raised money more than a month ago for a phone that he said that he needed immediately. That was basically like an emergency, that he needed a phone because his current phone wasn't working for doing his live streams. And it's like a month and a half later and he still hasn't purchased the phone. So that's why we're only live streaming on Shiva's phone, but I am live streaming in 4K on my channel, and you can go and check that out. Just go and take a look, and just because what's going on here is something that's unique. So it's like a live spiritual situation of two people who are on the path to varying degrees, coming from different backgrounds, where people can come in and communicate and connect, and that there's something alive happening here. So naturally, if you come here and you don't know who I am, you don't know who Shiva is, you don't have any real context or awareness about what's going on here, then naturally nothing here is going to make sense, because this is a continuation. This isn't like trying to sell timeshares to people. This isn't trying to get people to adopt some kind of weird conspiracy theories. And it's also not something that's here to make you angry. So this is a living environment that's coming from a place of sincerity, authenticity, depth, a lived experience that's in direct relationship with spiritual community, with meditation practice, with listening to meditation masters, etc. So this is not it's not free to really be here and to know what's going on here. You have to, in some sense, be invested and be serious about what's going on here, for your comments and for the positions that you bring up to not just be completely irrelevant.
Thank you for your super chat, Alex. Highly appreciate you, and always happy to see the yellow color. As for what Rob said, well, I don't want to get into it, but things are going to happen very soon.
But very soon, the dynamics of what we do online, at least me and Shiva collaborating, is going to be totally different. Shiva is going to a place, and there's probably here who don't know who Shiva is. Shiva is going to be going to a place that does not have a strong internet connection. and he's not going to have a lot of time or freedom to live stream, a lot of space. So, I mean, are there 5G towers around Isha Foundation, Shiva? You'll see,
No.
right? So you may Shiva have to look at getting a couple different SIM cards. This is actually something that I'm planning to do maybe tomorrow. I'm thinking about getting uh, possibly a secondary monitor. I'm looking at possibly getting a secondary OLED monitor for my setup, for my desk, for my workstation, which would help a lot. And I'm also looking at getting a secondary um, uh, kind of phone stand or phone holder. Uh, I've been living on the road for 8 years. I haven't had a place where I live, a place that I call home, a home base for 8 years. Living as a monk, traveling around the world, living out of a suitcase, sometimes literally living out of a monk's bowl. So, one of the things that I'm working on is to kind of build up my studio and build up my resources for working with people and supporting people and creating a long-term consistent environment for me to do this work uh, and to work with people in different ways related to spirituality and hopefully improving the quality of their lives, and improving the quality of my life as well, because this really improves the quality of my life. Doing these live streams and connecting with people and working with people like Shiva. And there's very few people out there like Shiva. There's very few people who can actually come together and have a grounded conversation and create space for a lot of people to be concerned with spirituality and spiritual community. So this is a good environment. This is a good example. Thank you, Robot. And there's something in me that's always saying, time to go. Time to be on the move again. Time to be a backpacking monk again. Time to be alone again. But my work now is to really develop this energy of being alone together and working to establish myself here with my wife in Vietnam for the long term, looking at purchasing property and creating a space where people can come and live and visit and come to practice and come to join in what's going on here. But it's a very slow and steady perspective, step by step. It's not about in a hurry or in a rush to get the the OLED monitor for secondary display for the laptop. It's not like that. Excuse me.
I'm sure India will have Wi-Fi in my Airbnb. And yeah, I'm going to do live streams from the Adiyogi statue in front of the Isha Yoga Center. That'll be iconic.
So for people who are here and participate in this, you can't just listen to me. You can't just listen to Shiva. You have to get to know me. You have to get to know what's going on here, to have a real knowledge about what's going on here. How much less so can we just hop in and listen to the different statements that people make? You can listen to someone that you know. If you don't know someone, you can't listen to them. The more that you get to know someone, you build up this energy of trust. You build up this energy of mutual giving with one another in authenticity, in sincerity, the more that you can trust what people say. Otherwise, you can't just not trust what people say. You can't even trust what you see or what you hear in this age of AI.
You said inauthenticity, insincerity. Yeah.
So I'm not requesting people to go and spend 12 hours watching my videos or listening to my talks, doing maybe 12 hours of live streaming a day minimum. I'm saying I'm going to keep giving. I'm going to keep showing up. I'm going to keep putting myself out there so that there is this opportunity for people to get to know me, to get to know who I am, to get to know what I'm doing as I am, as I'm doing it. And that's my generosity. That's my giving. That's my way of being and my way of sharing. To open up a bridge for people to connect. People who don't want to connect, that's okay too. That's up to them. But they cannot expect to understand or know what's going on here or who's going on here unless they invest in what's going on here. An important teaching, if I may, is that you cannot rely on seeming. A used car salesman is a specialist at selling you a car that seems to be working well. Seemingness is not reliable, period. So if you are primarily relying on seemingness, you are easily deceived, you are easily confused, you are easily holding on to positions that are based on nothing but how something seems to be. I'm sorry, but it's 2026. You cannot determine if an image is AI or not. You cannot determine if a voice is AI or not. You cannot determine if a video is AI or not. Some videos you may be able to determine because of how they were created, but in a very based and fundamental way, you as a human being no longer have the capacity to look at a picture, to look at a video, and to determine if that is real or not real. So the spiritual work, the teaching of Buddhism, encourages people to learn how to use discernment that is not just based on appearances, but based on your relationship with fundamental aspects of reality, such as impermanence, such as the lack of separation between things, such as the unsatisfactoriness of grasping onto anything. Excuse me. I've not read Schopenhauer, but I've read quite a bit of Bodhidharma. And if it was me, I'd much rather listen to the teachings of Bodhidharma rather than listening to the teachings of Schopenhauer. Kant and Schopenhauer are much more easy to understand than the teachings of Bodhidharma. Because one is based on the intellect and another is based on the nature of the mind.
Fruits with seeds means it's natural.
If you have a real question to ask, please put it on a super chat so I can see it. Jesus is a way. Jesus is not the way. And most people don't have a realistic relationship with Jesus. They have a realistic relationship with a kind of watered down American Christianity. Technically, I have 4 streams right now. So there are 4 ways that people using YouTube would come across my live stream. There's this vertical stream. There's this dual stream with Shiva. There's a horizontal stream, and there's another vertical stream from the horizontal stream on YouTube.
Jesus.
We're going to call Jason.
Working.
What's up, buddy? Long time no hear.
Hey, Jason, how are you doing?
Tell me on the live stream.
I'm sitting here with Shiva. We're on the live stream here.
Cool.
Yeah, where are
Good
you
talking,
at?
guys.
What are you doing?
I'm in Greenville, South Carolina, and I am playing Fallout 4.
You're what?
It's my day off, so I'm just playing Fallout 4 on my computer right now. You heard of that game?
I've heard of it.
What graphics card do you have, Jason?
I have no idea. You know, it's funny because I wanted to get into video editing and websites and stuff when I first got back from traveling. And so, ended up buying this computer. I mean, I think I spent like $800. I mean, but it's do pretty much anything. It's a laptop. I can take it with me and go wherever I want to go and stuff. And it's pretty cool. Yeah. You ever get a computer?
Yeah. Well, I've got my laptop in my old laptop is still in in southern Italy.
Oh, really?
And I got like clothes there. It's just closed down. The monastery's closed down, so I've got a bunch of clothes and stuff there.
Why is it closed? What happened?
There's just nobody to take care of it right now. There's nobody to manage it.
I mean, I was debating going that way and going to Italy possibly, but then I didn't want to fly over the Middle East with the war going on.
The whole Italy situation is kind of messed up because CLA Kema stepped back.
Well, she never wanted to do it to begin with. I mean, it was kind of inevitable.
Yeah, yeah, she tried. I mean, she was like staying there alone with random people for like winters and things like that for like 2 years. So she really
Mm.
tried, but she didn't have the support. And so now the Italy Tabarwa is just run by that woman. You've met her before, the psychologist woman.
Yeah,
So
I like
she's
her.
no, she's fine. She's just she's not fully Tabarwa style. She has some things that she doesn't fully adopt with Tabarwa, or maybe doesn't understand.
Hmm.
But yeah, so the Southern Italy thing is closed down. Um, I don't mean to say that. I mean, maybe I'm influenced by CLA Kema because they had so much difficulty getting along and working together. Uh,
But yeah, they're definitely opposites. I mean, I feel like with the other woman, from what I remember, I mean, I don't think there's anything wrong. She was more structured. She went like a normal meditation
yeah,
center to some degree, you know, which I think is totally respectable. I don't think everything has to be the same chaos. I think you can have both in that. And that's what was great about Zito was he kind of, I mean, whoever was kind of able to take the reins was given the freedom to do so. I mean, that's how I felt about it.
yeah. So so my project that I'm doing right now, and all of this is kind of so. It's something that I've been learning with Seattle and just having all this access to the community and the possibility is how necessary it is to go step by step and go slow and steady. I was
Mm.
thinking about like starting it because I something about Vietnam I really feel connected here. And so I mean years ago when I was totally, I was a monk, but I was totally just delusional to think that I could start a tabarwa in Vietnam and operate it as a monk and just internally not being equipped to do that and that externally
Mm.
not being possible because of the religious restrictions in Vietnam, and especially
Mm.
with tabarwa.
Mm-hmm.
But so what I'm looking at now, this is my hope, is to really get established here in Vietnam, on my own with my wife, with my partner here as much as I can, and slowly start making steps to buy property, to buy land for a meditation center. So I mean, like me and my wife, we could buy a home, and we're looking at it, but like a small home or a small property in a not a too wealthy area or whatever for just like you know, $20,000 or something, 10 or $20,000, something like that. So we're looking at
Mm.
that. But the longer term thing that I'm looking at is trying to create, a center that's not necessarily a Buddhist meditation center, but maybe you need a lawyer. You need a lawyer. You need to do things the right way, but where people can come and stay and live and be comfortable and live together in community, under these values, and where I can, share the way that I do things with the live streaming into giving people a door into a community and then them having an opportunity to come and participate that with that. So not like a whole big
Mm.
minded thing, but that's what I'd like to do. And so it would probably look like, just in the next 2 or 3 years, me and my wife getting a property, hopefully with some space, right? But then that
Mm-hmm.
just being a way for me and to be more established here and more settled and doing my work that I'm already doing. And then for people to come and visit and stay there. And then to kind of from that start looking at property, for a bigger project in the next like 5 years, something like that. That
My
would be the
question
goal.
is, why is it like you could do it on your own, but you couldn't do it with Tabarwa?
So Tabarwa is very well known by the Vietnamese Buddhist government. So it's
Mm.
possible that Seattle could support if it got to that stage. where we're really looking at property or looking at buildings or something like that, and to do it in a secular way, because Seattle has received a lot of donations for property and land in Vietnam that he can't really use. So that's definitely a
Mhm.
possibility, but I'm not just like hoping for that alone, but that's definitely possible. So if it would be a Tabarwa center or if it would be a Buddhist center, then that's directly under the guidance of the Vietnamese Buddhist Sangha, which works with the government. So that's a whole box of worms. But if
Oh,
it
gotcha.
but if it was something like a quote unquote Tabarwa hostel, a Tabarwa backpacking center in Dalat or something like that, that would be totally possible. That would just be kind of under the veil of a business while actually being more of a yoga center or a community center, etc.
What do you think about the Tabarwa way? And I mean, obviously you've seen it kind of work different ways in different countries, and so have I. I'm just curious what your take on all that is now.
It's exactly what you said. It's just different people at different times when the conditions arise that Seattle can support that and be involved with that. If the value
Hmm.
is there, if the generosity is there, if the conditions are there. And Seattle just has an extremely high level of discernment that basically I don't think that you or me or Shiva can really even begin to grasp that. I mean, Shiva doesn't really know Seattle like that we've spent time with him.
Hmm.
But that's my understanding that there's like the exposure that we've had to Seattle and what he's doing has been very much in the initial phases. So if you check in with like what Seattle is doing in America right now, you've got people like coming in that are at a very much more high level of organization and then are taking a step over and taking a step onward from what like Al established and those different ways of doing things that were not very high level as we would think about it. So I think it's going to
Yeah, I
take
mean that kind
time.
of backfired pretty badly.
Yeah. But I think that's also a part of Seattle's work because all of this is like an opportunity for training, especially when people need that kind of training. So you could have there's tons of people out there that think that they could do a meditation center and a quote unquote Tabarwa center, but they're not actually in a position mentally where they can do that, let alone having people connecting and stuff. I was talking with Shiva about this and my audience, how I was saying like how confusing it can be if we say me and you and Shiva, we're all coming together and we were going to build a community and we were going to do this thing where, now everybody gets these big ideas about themselves and what they want to do. And then it's all
Hmm.
this confusion comes in where when that energy of the detachment and the simple principles that Seattle uses, actually they what I find is that they allow people to work together um, in a very easy way when that communication can actually be there, when it's based on generosity, when it's based on self-sacrifice, when it's based on detachment.
Yeah, I think in my mind, you can't have a community that's better than the people. And a lot of times the people have been really, people that are really struggling, right? They're struggling with drugs, really at the bottom. You get some people that are more maybe educated or developed or renunciation. They want to be monks or whatever. But I mean, we've been around them. There's just very few of those, or it's just kind of like, how do you say? Because obviously there's a whole political Buddhist thing going on as well, right? Where it's not really about trying to grow. They're using their own kind of influence, and it's just Buddhist political influence almost, and they're almost like politicians
That's
or something.
that's why I'm focusing on doing my own thing. So I'm
Yeah, that's what
not
I'm
I'm
thinking.
I'm not creating these. Of course, I follow Seattle. I believe in Tabarwa entirely. I don't want to go and live in America. The rent is too damn high.
Hmm.
The energy there just isn't. It's not appealing to me. Like going and
Yeah.
going out. Because even though I have like my studio, I have my apartment here now, so I do most of my live stream, my work here. But like, let's say I want to, it's nice to go out to a coffee shop and relax and have a coffee and do live streaming and stuff like that. So to do that here in Vietnam, I mean, there's hundreds, there's thousands of places that I would just like find a home there, where I could just go and spend like 8 hours a day live streaming or doing my work there, working with people, talking with people online. Whereas in America, I mean, the energy wouldn't be there for me to go into a space like that. It's just like this overwhelming struggle and focus on making money and worry
Hmm.
that just isn't here in Vietnam. So I want to start really small and really simple. I want to keep doing what I'm doing. I want to create more space for people who'd like to come and visit or like to come and practice with me or collaborate with me to come and do what I'm
Hmm.
doing, and just let that build in a way that's not about, how are we going to save the world, but how are we going to save each other, and then how can that like create empowered people that can actually work together and then open up a door for more people to come in and because what Tabarwa doesn't have, it doesn't have a hub for Western people. And
Hmm.
I know that this a lot of people don't know about Tabarwa, but where people can come in and connect, and this is a big possibility in southern Italy, but now I'm like committing to Vietnam. People can come in and connect as backpackers or volunteers or people that are just curious about all this stuff. They can come in, they can live, they can learn about what's going on experientially, and then they can decide to go and be a monk or a nun or volunteer in Myanmar, or that we
Hmm.
have a group of people that can actually sit down and talk about projects from being stabilized and established, in our communications with each other, instead of these
Well, I
like
think,
out of control big ideas about saving the world and how we're going to help all the homeless people in LA. Shiva's here. I just want to see if Shiva wants to say anything. I think you should be able to hear him.
I think real quick, I just want to say one thing is I think we're 100% on the same page, by the way. I really do.
And that's why I think that, of course we were brothers, and, we supported each other and we were on the path together, but we were both a lot more immature than we are now. But
Yeah.
also it
Hmm.
was just like the grandiosity of the situation and the idea, and the way that Seattle talks about what's going on is just so overwhelming, and it removes this grounding point, especially for Westerners, because we don't have this Buddhist background with the monks and nuns. So it's good, it's
Hmm.
nice, it's great, but the vision is just so big that Seattle offers that it's like, and I apologize, man, because I was really lost in my ego at that time, and you know, but I'm happy that you're still here.
Yeah, and I appreciate you saying that. And I feel like, I mean, it's been amazing. Even talking a little bit, man, the amount of just love and just understanding I feel like we have was just so unexpected, so instant, coming from kind of where that all left off to like how I feel now. I mean, I think we really just are like, yeah, it's maturity on both sides. And I couldn't, agree with you more that, moving towards a real spiritual space with like-minded people. I mean, I kind of feel like we could create a little bit of a, spiritual nomad little hub, because the thing I've always missed out is just having conversations, man. There's just not, I mean, I'm sure you've experienced it, right? You go through all this stuff. There's not many people you can talk to, I mean, it really isn't. I think even with all three of us, it's like just to have some sort of deep spiritual brothers who you can be together with that can build something to me is like always been the goal, but it's been impossible to find.
Yeah, brothers and sisters as well.
Yeah.
So that's my vision right now. It's totally simple. I mean, look, I'm just looking at myself getting more established in Vietnam, and then as hopefully that works out, then looking at maybe getting a bigger space and a space for that, having a lawyer, maybe even starting a business here in Vietnam, which is not that expensive. It's not that much money. And
Hmm.
just in terms of vibes, like I remember we talked about that before, or I had a similar idea about that, like when you were talking about when you try to like invest in that club or something. But
Hmm.
if I mean, if the money was there, it's really investment, right? Because you could have all the money, but people just aren't invested. Where setting up a hotel, a hostel, a traveler's hub, whatever you want to, whatever it would be call it, it's not that much money to do something like that in Vietnam and to make it a place where people would be very happy to come and stay.
Yeah.
Like that's not that, I mean, that's the only business that I could see myself being involved with, and just for the purpose of creating the space. But it's a hundred
Yeah, I go-
percent, it's 100% going to take a lot of time of people who are more experienced and more willing to communicate with each other, to like delineate and drop out all the fluff and all the bullshit ego that people bring to these situations where they're kind of just like leeches. They come in, they
Yeah.
leech off of the energy and they diminish it and they try to make it what their experience can make it, but everybody doesn't have the same experience. And it's just as ridiculous as saying like that people can't start a business, only because it's spiritually intertwined and it's so much in the mind. Everybody says, well, I have a fair share of the mind as well. And so having these kinds of conversations, you actually need to get people to come in and be embodied, so that you actually are giving lessons to these people that are like parasocially showing up and minimizing things that in a way that doesn't have anything to do with the conversation that's actually going on.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
I mean, I think growing up in LA, I've been around so much more new age type of stuff and trying to find a spiritual home, even the Buddhist stuff, with the rules and the strictness. I think we've kind of been through a lot of, I think, and studied a lot of different traditions as well. And you just start coming to the conclusion that there's just not many people out there.
there's
that
not.
have,
There's 100%
you
not.
know,
At least not in like public spaces. Like
Yeah.
in just people that come across it, like just because 100%, just because I'm doing a live stream, or the Dalai Lama or Seattle or the 1,000 times more enlightened and more wealthy version of yourself spiritually is doing a live stream, and tens of thousands of people are coming across it, there's going to be like a 1% or less than 1% of people that can actually stop and listen and say, oh, wait a minute, actually I'm really sincere, I'm really authentic, I'm really genuine, and I'd actually like to listen to what this person has to say, and I'm curious about what's going on, rather than making it into an ego thing about themselves because they're not the person who's having the conversation. Let alone that people just don't, and they don't have to care so much about these kinds of things. So I'm trying to step back from this whole idea of when I was like a monk, and I'm like trying to make people care about this stuff and make people see me in a way where like they feel like they should care about this kind of stuff, and just change it to, this is going on and I want to make this available and accessible to people, and totally drop these ideas of grandeur, like these big great projects and plans of what's going to come out and what's possible, and just simplify and stabilize it and bring it to these relationships with people who are willing to have these conversations. And I think that as that builds, as people are actually willing to invest, and the money is a very small part of it. It just comes from a
Yeah.
poverty mindset where it's like, oh, $100,000 to start a business in Vietnam, that's so much money, that we could never make that. That's just $100,000 is nothing. It's a small amount of money. I mean, just talk about investment or something. You could take out
Well,
hundreds
even
of,
getting enough for a down payment, I'm sure we could still even finance something pretty easily, because 100,000 you've been financing and you pay rent.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really not hard.
yeah. So,
I don't know if I can somehow get a visa too if I put enough money in,
yeah.
because I know that to get a visa there might be an investment visa where if you put enough money in, you are granted a visa or something like that.
Well, I mean, I'll tell you, Jason, in terms of you coming out here and finding a Buddhist wife, and I would hope she'd have, at least be a spiritual wife. I mean, there's a lot of options. It's not going to take too much time.
Well, that's the thing, when I even came back over there, I felt like really, it was one of the best places, even in terms of dating. I met a lot of really cool, some of them I still talk to today. There's this girl that mispronounced, we were good friends, and she mispronounced calculator. She said Kukulator, so that became like her nickname. So I called her Kukulator after that. But
well, I don't want to get into the whole height thing. I don't want to get into the whole height and looks maxing thing. But so so yeah, I just want Shiva to share a little bit if he can. Shiva, are you there?
Yeah, Jason, good to see you. Good to hear from
This
you.
is so crazy that Shiva knows you,
Yeah.
Jason. Isn't this crazy?
Yeah,
That we
I
all
mean,
know
that's
each
before I
other
even
from
ordained,
before.
man.
Yeah, that's crazy. So,
Yeah, I'm glad you're doing well, and come over. Come to Asia. We'll build something.
Yeah, man, I really am all in. I mean, I think I'm gonna end up giving myself August. I'll quit right before August starts, and then I'll give myself that 1 month to pack up all my stuff and sell whatever I have to sell because I gotta sell my truck and all that. But then I'll make my way over there pretty much. I was kind of debating, you know, how to get over there. I think I'm gonna spend probably a little bit in LA, see my parents. So I won't see them for a while after that, and then start heading that way. I wasn't sure if I wanted to skip around and go to Bali and then Vietnam or whatever because we're going, west to east or whatever. But I'll figure that as time gets closer.
no, it's
Nice.
super easy with your budget, Jason. I mean, if you like just you can just stay in Vietnam as long as you want because you have a degree, right, Jason, anyway?
Yeah, I
So
do. I have a
that's the
bachelor's.
easy, that's 100% easy way, but also Vietnam is so flexible and open with visas. Like you could just spend the whole and look, this is this is something I'm trying to entirely get out of is like my ideals that I'm trying to put into other people about doing something in particular. Like everybody can go and do whatever they want. I'm not trying to convince anybody to do what I want them to do. But just in terms of
Mm-hmm.
logistics, you can just take a visa trip from like a 1 day trip from Cambodia back to Vietnam like every 3 months indefinitely, or at least for a year.
Yeah,
You can do that.
I guess I've been debating if I wanted to give myself a little bit of time in between to really like detox from being in the world and being over here and all other stuff, and wondering if I should detox, maybe in Bali a little bit more alone, just get like kind of centered and then come over there, or I should just come straight there. That's the thing I haven't really figured out yet.
Well, I mean, this is just ongoing, and me doing the live streams and me working with Shiva and me hanging out and doing my art and doing my my own stuff. But Bali's cool. I stayed at a hotel for like I binged a little bit. I think I spent like $50 a night or $60 a night for a hotel in Bali. It was super super
Mm-hmm.
sweet. Really nice bathtub, really quiet. Um, Bali in general, I was saying Shiva could maybe tell you a little bit more about it, but Bali in general is kind of the air is very polluted. There's a lot
Oh,
of
really?
there's a lot of commercialism and like neo-colonialism going on. Um,
Do
so
not go to Bali.
I mean no, I'll tell you the hotel I stayed at. If you want to detox for a week or 2 weeks, it's a sweet ass place to stay.
Mm. Well, there was like, I think I was looking more into the digital nomad thing and trying to like see how that all looked and kind of meet some of those people, almost as a way of like networking, I guess. Just curious about different opportunities. I do eventually, I think, want to find a way to be, make some money online, whatever that looks like. And I still haven't really figured it out. And I really other attempts. I thought kind of like the web development stuff would be cool before, but it's just a dead market because there's too many people willing to do it for too little money. Um, but I mean, I'm gonna give myself about 3 months at least just to like not do anything before I really start diving into all that. Because I mean, I should have enough to live for 2 years without having to really work,
Sure.
and I'll figure it out in the meantime.
This is one of the main principles that I'm trying to learn more and trying to practice more with, and that's the that Seattle teaches about finding ways for us to work together with our skills rather than using our skills to work for ourselves. That's one of the
Mm.
biggest things that I think is missing in the mentality for a lot of people in and why people just crash back down to being alone or not making that much development in terms of merit because they use what they have for themselves, they use their skills for themselves, and then through them doing that they're not making a lot of merit because it's very selfish focused, And then in the
Mhm.
other side, they're not building these relationships that can be leveraged to create other relationships. You see what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
I mean, I
So
will
like
say
the
I'm very open to new ways of friendship and learning and working. Um,
because there's a
'Cause I,
there's a really deep thing here that's quite subtle in terms of human interaction where like my relationship with Shiva and my relationship with you in terms of practicing generosity, in terms of meeting each other at this place of not being self-fixated or self-focused and yet working together, it totally shifts the dynamic for people that are watching and listening to that.
Right.
So
mm,
so being
yeah.
able to actually do that and build that, it creates a totally different teaching for people who are then listening to that. It takes
Well, I
them,
think part of
it's
it
like
though
they
is
have to
finding
come
similar
out.
values.
They have to come out of their self fixation because me and you, or me and Shiva and you, or whoever are outside of our self fixations in working together.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think a lot of it, the reason why that hasn't arisen previously too, is just finding people with similar values. You know what I mean? It's very hard. I think values are a big thing, and when you feel like, living in a world where no one shares your values, it's kind of automatic that you're just going to isolate and start worrying about yourself. And I'm tired of that. I don't want to be in that. You know what I mean? But I think it's been like, where do to find people you can trust and understanding and values and all this stuff has to come together. And that to me, it creates sort of like a basis for a spiritual family, really, which is what we're really
From
trying to do here.
from the beginning, from before I even knew really what, like the moment that I knew what spirituality was, I wanted to build spiritual community. But there's no
Mm-hmm.
spiritual community that's built without mutual self-sacrifice and practicing together and collaborating with one another in a way that's not for our self-benefit, our
Mm-hmm.
personal self-benefit. So it's great. I mean, you've seen it with Tabarwa. It's great when everybody has the same ideals, but that can ultimately
Mm-hmm.
be very shallow when we're not practicing to self-sacrifice together,
Mm-hmm.
when we're not giving up ourselves together. And when we do that together, we're creating a structure where other people can come in and do that together. Whereas when it's just
Yeah.
about ideals, it's like there has to be some like cult incentive to it. Like there has to be some monetary gain or some status gain or
Mm-hmm.
um, some kind of gain that's not actually about developing ourselves and being free of ourselves, but just getting what we want. And if our main focus is in getting what we want, then we're in the same ego trap that we started with.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's subtle. I just think that it's so hard for most people. It's not at this stage, I think, where you can they can see any of it, right? It's so subconscious and so contrary to society and programming. And it takes a long while, which I think we've both been through a pretty long process of self-reflection and growth, and that's why
So
I think
much.
something really great can happen here.
It can't, because it can't, if we can't embody it, then other people can't see it in an embodied way. And we're always going to be trying to appeal to the lowest common denominator of these people that are in poverty, either materially or mentally, right? To
Yeah.
kind of parasocially identify with us and then want us to be a teacher, want us to be in that position or this position, and
Mm-hmm.
for them to then be lifted up or whatever, or have a higher position in relationship to us because now we're in that position. So I see that
Yeah,
in
I think you really
Shiva.
hit it on the head.
I see that in Shiva where he like tries to create this superficial dynamic of like, hey everybody, we share the same ideals, so we don't have to like work together deeply or have deep discussions together or do things deeply together. Just like donate to me and support me and I'll keep living the way I'm living and we'll go and visit a spiritual place together. But the reality is we have to create a spiritual place where people can come and practice or be together with us. And if we can't create something like that in ourselves, in our own life, in being stabilized in our own life, materially and spiritually, then there's not really anything that we can offer other people other than them like parasocially identifying with our ideals and that we're attractive, or that people are listening to us or whatever, the same old kind of grift that everybody online is trying to do, trying to sell the persona, trying to sell the idea rather than giving a space where people can come and actually volunteer and participate or be involved in whatever way.
Yeah, and I think the energy will speak for itself, and our interactions. I think it's a good point, and the difference in them being something that people actually will be able to be like, oh, that's so interesting.
Right.
That they're able to interact in that way. Even with you and Shiva, though, I was honestly, despite the fact that there's a lot of back and forth or whatever, and I get where you're coming from. I think that there's something beautiful in the fact that you guys can still come together in terms of just striving spiritually and wanting to give each other space to grow too, which is kind of cool. And that's a lot of it also.
You're lagging.
Go ahead, Shiva. No, he's talking to me. I think I'm just lagging on his phone. Shiva has like an old phone or something. Shiva, why don't you say something, add a little bit to the conversation that we're having? Sorry, I got a glitch on the YouTube stream I'm sharing with Shiva.
Mm.
Do you want me? Do you have your YouTube account on your phone? I could send you a link where you could join my live stream and we could talk with each other that way with Shiva.
Yeah, I can hook it back on my computer here.
So it has to be it has to be an invite that you accept on your phone through the YouTube app, and then I think any YouTube channel that you have will let you show up through it. Then people can see your channel through that. But anyway, it's just like joining the video call, but you have to have the YouTube channel on your phone to join the video call.
I'll try.
Okay.
All
right, I'll send you the invite. So I'll hang up and I'll send you the invite, Jason.
Okay, through YouTube?
Yeah, well, I'm gonna send you a link